What's going up, everybody? What's going on? What's going up is the market. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Vant and Rant podcast, episode 590. It's the beginning of the month, beginning of the quarter, beginning of the week, beginning of the new day, and it was interesting out there. What's going on, Mike? How's it going?
It's going good, man. It's going good. How about you?
Good. Just, it's been a little, it's been an interesting day for me. Interesting day. But beginning of the month, quarter, week, all in the same time is always interesting. But, it's, market's going up.
Is there a big echo on me? Because it's the funny thing is, I thought there was an echo on Tyler.
There's an echo, is there?
Yeah, it's coming out of Tyler's mic. That's what I thought.
Give me one second. I don't see an echo. Let's see here. Let's see what's going on.
Kind of like the market. Market's kind of been like an echo today.
All right, let's see here. All right, I think it is fixed.
Yeah, that sounds good from my end.
Alrighty.
What do you guys think?
Cool.
Yeah, lot better. For me today, it's been kind of a little bit like follow the leader. I mean, really, I'm watching the chat in the Discord, stuff like that, and you guys trying to call bottoms, trying to call tops, and it's like, you can't do that, man. I mean, just take the easy trade, and that's what I've been trying to do today. I've just been playing follow the leader. Just like back in grade school, man. I've been following the leader. So wherever the Dixie and the 10 years gone, that's where I'm going. And it's worked out pretty good for me today. It's worked out pretty good for the last 2 weeks, actually. So until that dislocates, I'm just going to go follow the leader.
Yeah, that's a good point. This morning, one of the first things I did was pull up the rates, and I was like, interesting. Rates are moving down. Rates are probably going to continue down today, so I want to look for buys in the market. It's that simple, and it worked out so well today. So people just trying to make it too complicated. But
yeah. I mean, look, you're never gonna be able to call bottom. You're never gonna be able to call top, and so we don't try to do it. We're nowhere. I think most people know we're nowhere near a bottom. I think that's the one thing we can pretty much. I think a lot of the experts agree upon. Can we get a nice little pop, nice little bounce area? Sure, exactly, and that's we're kind of getting that today. If you want to call this a nice little bounce. Getting that today, and enjoy it, trade it. So don't make it complicated, though.
Yeah, exactly. Didn't have too much going on today. I mean, you had ISM, manufacturing PMI, and a couple Fed speakers, but nothing too crazy out there. Kind of just one of those technical balances here.
I mean, you had S&P Global manufacturing, you had ISM manufacturing, and again, they've been kind of dislocated with S&P Global being worse than being on the downside, and ISM artificially being kind of high. They kind of readjusted themselves this week, so ISM back down worse than expected after kind of float staying up, right? And S&P Global now. Just okay. I mean, a little bit better than expected. So, I kind of what you expected, and it's kind of the pop we got with ISM. I think really, if you look at it, the market got a nice little run at 10 o'clock, and one of the reasons was because ISM did kind of come back down, and I think the market looks bad news is positive.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But, I mean, why don't you just pull up the charts and show us what you're looking at? Because, I mean, there's really nothing else on my end as far as the hell was going on out there.
Yeah, I mean, look, new month, new quarter. That's the story.
Right.
Okay, so new month, new quarter. Pay attention to where the flows are going, because that's going to be important for the market. It's going to give you a clue for the quarter. So typically, right out of the gate, you can get some kind of, you got to get some good information out of here. Well, if you look at the monthly chart, so last month really just finished at lows, kind of broke, finished below, at least the SPY did, the June lows. So that's definitely a note. The weekly, we've had 3 straight down weeks here, and they've been pretty good down weeks. And we did kind of settle right in below this 200 moving average, which I thought was a note. Now this week starts us off pretty good as we kind of gap back above this 200, and that's looking as support. So going into this week, I mean, I think this is an important week. I think you're going to see some wild trading this week. I think you're going to get a lot of good opportunities. So this is not a week to sit one out. I think this is a week where you're going to get some good trading opportunities, especially with what we got on deck. I mean, we talked about labor. Labor's really important. And so we get 3 big labor reports. We get the JOLTS tomorrow. We get the revised ADM. We get the revised, what is it, Ty, that comes out Wednesday? That usually was the precursor.
The ADP.
ADP, yeah. I wouldn't say ADM. I don't want. I want to say ADM, but ADP comes out Wednesday. And then, jobless claims at whatever. And then Friday, of course, we get non-farm payrolls. So I feel that the labor data is going to be way more important than even the inflation data. So it's definitely something to look at. I think it's going to be an interesting week. We got some other numbers coming up, filtering through. We got Fed speakers still talking. So I'm watching to the downside, this 200, this 358.67 on the weekly. That's definitely a level I'm going to be watching. Back up into the consolidation time.
Yeah.
Back up into the consolidation. So, if we go to the 4-hour chart, what are you looking at here?
It's pretty, this price action that we're seeing is exactly what I want to see, especially in the start of a new month, week, and everything, because you close below, and now we're starting to march, or you close here, you push below, we're starting to march right back up. And typically, I talk about this a lot, is the first couple days of the new month is going to be price discovery, liquidity grabs, kind of price kind of moving around. And what I'd want to see, if I want to see a continuation of the downside, is price to start moving up first. We create that upper wick, we do a little bit of a deep retracement, and then we start rolling over. And I think it's kind of what we're seeing here. Is now that we broke the lows here, we're going to start marching out of here first. Maybe create our Fibonacci retracement. Dip back into maybe this breakdown here, and then head back down. So look, that kind of was my thesis behind the buys this morning as well.
Yeah, and you kind of got this nice little descending tops here for a break. If we kind of zoom in here a little bit, I like that thesis kind of breaking through and getting back up here. So maybe we get a nice little break and get ourselves up there for a rejection. So that would be definitely a good trade. If you look at the SPY 15-minute, well, we are above the 5 EMA. It's kind of flattened out. We talked about last week how steep this 5 EMA on the daily chart was, and how steep it was pointing. Even though we got above, the direction and the steepness was something not to maybe get carried away. And we are definitely right about that. You got a nice gap down on Thursday, which took us right down below it. But now you're starting to see it kind of flatten out, start maybe turning up. So going back to your thesis, Ty, with maybe a bounce up there, this is kind of looking like the short-term momentum starting to shift a little bit in here.
Yeah.
So that's something I want to be looking for. We were looking for a little bit of a bounce, but again, still looking at, still watching the dollar, still watching rates, and still watching the VIX and playing follow the leader of that trifecta. If you look at the intraday action, one thing of note, try to hold your horses on the bull train. We haven't even gotten up to Friday's highs yet. So For as much action as we've done, we've really climbed ourselves out of a hole. But it was a deep hole, and it was a steep drop into the close on Friday. So this type of bounce expected, but until we can get back above Friday's highs, it is what it is right now. It is what it is. So just be careful. Tech kind of hanging, just not even interestingly enough, not even back up into its consolidative zone. I mean, it kind of fell back down. I mean, we're not above. If you look to me right here, I like this 272.25 level. So I think if we can get back above there and get up into this consolidative zone where we were prior to these drops on Thursday and Friday, it'd be good for tech. Tips, real rates still, even though rates have kind of maybe stabilized a little bit, still saying that tech has further to drop. Small caps has been performing better. I agreed with Mark in his assessment this morning in that, take a look at small caps. Really, I think, they're the kind of outlier right now. So definitely I'm watching, keeping an eye out on small caps. And then if you kind of look in here, rates I've been playing follow the leader. We did break down in here. I think that's why you got a nice little pop. But as Mel kind of pointed out, and I've been kind of following in here, they've really been creeping up since about the 11 o'clock hour, Ty.
Yeah.
So this is definitely something of note. Maybe if we can, so right now I think this puts a lid on stocks. If we continue this trend, if we break this trend line here, this short little intraday trend line, then maybe that could get us and fuel us a rally going into the close. I mean, looking at the VIX, VIX has, of the three, VIX has kind of come down. We're below 30. I think that's a positive. We're just a tick below 30. So I'd like to see VIX kind of get a nice break below 30. And if you look at the dollar, we're still kind of hanging in here. It's almost like we can't shake that 112 level. And so for me, again, if you look at the intraday chart on the dollar, and I know you're going to go over it, Ty, still seeing this nice little trend line. So the dollar and rates since 11 o'clock have really been rising. And I think that's what put a little bit of a lid on the rise in stocks. So keep an eye out on that. If you look at the vol-D, it is, it's been pretty straight up on Brett. So that's something to the positive side in here, which I like. Not as strong as some of the other rally days that we've had. But, if you look at it on the it's pretty much been straight up, which, definitely says, well, be careful with shorts in here. And if you look at the tick, I mean, Ty, if you look at this tick, I mean, we've been pretty steadily above this zero line in here, as far as I'm concerned. And so that's pretty much, we've had these wicks down into the lower range, but it's all been positive ticks for the most part in here. And so, internals looking okay for possible bouts. But keep an eye out on rates. Keep an eye out on the dollar. And Mo, yeah, I agree with you a lot on what you're saying. I'll get into Nike, because Nike and Micron kind of getting bounces here, which I think is a positive thing. And because you got bad news stocks starting to get a little bounce, so I think you start to see a little bit of a change. And it definitely, I think, the odds are shifting towards more of maybe in the Bulls' favor here, at least on a short-term basis. But I'd be curious, Ty, what your take is on the dollar. And, I know you're going to probably talk about silver. Hi-ho silver. I mean, that's kind of running.
I know. This shit, there's some things moving today. So starting with the Dixie here. The Dixie, fix the chart here. It was really just, it was very predictable price action. So, I mean, if you look at the weekly chart, we talked about this 114, 115 area that seemed to throw a major rejection here back from 2002. And so now we're getting that pullback, but it's still obviously, if you look at the quarterly chart here, if you look at the monthly chart here, it's still extremely, bullish. Although keep in mind we are sitting at 80 on the monthly, we're sitting just at 70 on the quarterly. So highest time frame, still room to go. However, looking at this weekly chart showing that we're going to get a little bit of a pullback here, and so we broke last week's low. We're pulling back a little bit. However, what I keep an eye on is how do we react to the current weekly high. If we break last week's low and we start breaking this current weekly high, maybe we retrace back to 120. However, I think that with the current price action we're seeing, we see a continuation down through 111, through 112, and then we see a pullback down towards like 110. Because if you look at the overall weekly chart, I still think we need to get this retest. If you look back here, back in 2002, which was this breakout we had here of this of these highs, that's around 110, 109, 110. And that's this white line right here where we broke out from. So I think we come down, maybe retest this trend line again, and then we head on back out towards 115. So I think we see a momentary pause in the dollar's continuation. I think we see a momentary pause in the rates continuation. And so I think that was one of my main theses behind a little pop here in an extended, multi-day run in the market. Is I think we'll see a little bit of a breather in the dollar and in rates. So we'll see. But looking at it here, if we do break back through 112.60, then I'm just, the dollar's not ready to pull back yet. And it's going to just try to give us another retest of these highs here. So I'm definitely going to keep an eye on the day's range so far to see if it can give me an indication on which way we're headed for I guess this week.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Oil. Looking at oil here. Oil. It's tough. So I know today OPEC actually came out and canceled their meeting tomorrow. They come out Wednesday and talk about the potential production cuts. Usually they meet a day before to kind of get on the same page and get advised by the JMC. They canceled the meeting tomorrow. So last we've heard about OPEC is they're potentially doing a 1 million barrel per day production cut. And they canceled the meeting tomorrow. And so the investors are kind of left sitting there wondering what's going to happen now. We are running into this pretty major area of rejection at this 85, 86 area. However, looking at price action here, we are breaking through temporary resistance as far as these descending highs. Broke through this morning, 4 hour came down to retest it. And so maybe we get a little bit of a bounce from here. However, main thing I'm watching on this oil chart is we had a pretty nasty gap over the weekend here. Gap from 79, 90 area up to 81. So it left a nasty gap. Obviously, it doesn't have to fill it right away, but my experience with oil and gaps is that typically when a gap's like that, if not the same day, then the following day or 2 days after, within 2 days of gapping, you get that retracement and it fills it. Because I've traded these oil gaps many times, and so it typically is like a magnet and it'll find that gap here. So I think that if we don't get it today, because we're already kind of winding down the clock, then I think maybe tomorrow and then into OPEC we get that gap fill, and then OPEC then maybe sends it higher with a production cut. If they don't do a production cut, then oil's going to head back down into this 76 low on the weekly. One thing to keep in mind on the chart that I talked about on my show this morning is oil. I don't know if I've ever seen oil start, have a month with no bottom wick or no top wick. Oil left no bottom wick here on the monthly chart. Oil left no bottom wick here on the weekly chart, obviously, or on the daily. And so it really makes me feel that we're going to get that gap fill soon. And this is just a liquidity grab, a retracement, retesting 85 area to then head back down to retest this 76 low. So definitely something to keep in mind there as well. I think there's potential downside momentum here, and this could be a fake breakout here to head back down into the bottom end of the range here. So not looking too good there, but it was a nice breakout overnight. I'm sitting short right now, oil. So we'll see if it holds. Feels like it could roll over here. We did break back through these lows here, so we're getting a little bit of a retracement, and then I'll look for a rejection of 84 to then roll back over. So we'll see what happens here, but I think oil is capped right now with major resistance until OPEC comes out, and so maybe we see that gap fill coming up. Gold is,
sexy gold.
Damn,
Gold.
Dude. Gold is moving today. I was talking about it this morning about this breakout of these descending highs in here. I liked the breakout. However, I had mentioned that I want to see a retracement and then take a long. And it retraced around like 8:30 to 9 o'clock, which is what I was looking for. I didn't catch it. I don't know if I was looking elsewhere since, but it would have been a great long after a breakout and a retracement of this retest here, and then it ended up moving really strong. I mentioned that my price target is 1,700, and we are about 6 points off of 1,700, and so that's where we're marching right now. Looking at the daily chart and the higher time frames, even the monthly, again, left really no bottom wick here on gold. So if you take a look at the higher time frames, this area, we're on the backside now of a major area of resistance, which is now the 1,700. And so I don't think gold has enough momentum to break through here. If you take a look at the overall weekly, I've been talking about this trend line that we've just broke through. We're now coming back up to retest it, and then I'd expect a failure to head back down towards lows. I mean, gold, if you look at the higher time frames, it really doesn't have any support until, let's say, 15-20 area. So a lot of room to go down on gold still, and it's not even close to being oversold. So I think this is a nice retracement. I think everything right now, since it's a new month, new quarter, new week, it's doing that liquidity wick, that grab, that retracement before they continue on their merry way to where they should be going. And that for gold is down. But yeah, I mean, obviously the play of the day was freaking silver. Silver's rocketing up 8% right now, and I mean, it's just this right here, man, from 8.15 to 10.15 was a straight elevator ride up. No retracements at all, and it was just an easy 5% straight up. Now I didn't take it, but it was a really nice trade. And they're still really trying to work on that gold to silver ratio, because that gold to silver ratio is pulling back. Still elevated from its highs here, but it's pulling back to normal levels. And so if you take a look at this overall trends, we're now potentially coming into this this support here on the gold to silver ratio, and so now I don't think this strength in silver will last, given that we're probably going to hit the support here, and gold's going to start rolling over quicker, and then they're both going to start rolling over soon. So but yeah, that's that. Bitcoin not really doing anything. I mean, it's up, but it's still kind of stuck in this consolidation range here. Positive news for Bitcoin: we're creating these higher lows and maintaining this trend line here. It's just market-wide that we're seeing a bounce. Don't really expect a continuation really through like 20,400. Pretty strong area of resistance, but we'll see. Yeah, but that's it really. Pound is moving up pretty strong today. It's funny that what's her freaking name, Truss or whatever.
Yes. Boy, what an idiot she is. I'm sorry. Did I say that?
She's like, oh shit, we should have done this tax cut. Um, never mind. I feel like they're just backpedaling over there again. Uh, so they canceled the tax cut, and so now we're seeing the pound um, continuing back on its merry way to where it was before they announced the tax cut. So interesting price action there, but that's it for me.
Yeah, I mean that's when Case had like I saw somewhere at the last 6 years they've had 4 different prime ministers. How is it that they can't get their shit together? I mean, I'd love to know. I mean, where's Big Man? Big Man would be able to tell us.
Yeah.
We need Big Man in here. He's from the UK. And, I just love to know what the hell's going on in the water over there. But it's tough. It's tough. So, right now, get a little bounce on the SPY, get a little bounce on the markets here, just, watching it. Again, I think we still favor a little bit to the upside. But a couple things I wanted to share real quick before we get into stocks and we get into the market. Couple things, kind of pull some charts here and some, off of, we got some good data. I mean, if you're wondering what's going on in treasuries, pretty much what we're seeing is this readjustment, right? So, over the last 3 weeks, we've seen the, from the FX markets, Ty. I mean, we've seen Japan come out with FX intervention. We've seen who else come out? We've seen the UK, obviously,
right?
And then we saw also now China is defending themselves, and every time you have this type of and what's going on is a strong dollar, and the strong dollar pretty much is killing it's killing the other currencies. It's making it that much harder for the rest of the world, and the Fed needs a strong dollar in order to kind of cut back on inflation here. And so with that, you have now starting to get some pushback. And so what I'm looking for is obviously Barkin came out, really one of the first Fed governors kind of out there speaking, and said, look, we got to monitor the impact of the dollar. We didn't really talk about it, but the UN even has come out and said, look, you got to stop hiking rates. And, you're seeing, because basically what's happening is this rate hike cycle that we're seeing globally, it's really affecting, emerging markets, the smaller economies and stuff, and they're getting hit on the chin really harder. But, when you see all these interventions and you see this defense now, the key is going to see whether the Fed's going to adjust, because, so part of the pressure, a lot of people say, what's going on with rates in the treasury market? Well, in all these FX interventions, what they're doing is to defend their currencies. They're selling their holdings of treasuries. And you've seen it really in here as far as weekly change in foreign custodial holdings and deposits of treasury securities. It's at the low over the last couple of years. So they're defending that by selling off, what they got. And I think that's something of note. And, the other thing is, at the flip side, I think things are okay for those of you trying to, call bottoms and stuff. Things aren't okay, because just look at what's going on. We just had another record repo, reverse repo auction from the Fed. And these are short-term liquidity bursts that the Fed's providing. And you can see it has not slowed down. We're going to a record high. And you can see where these levels typically are in a normal marketplace. And they're just so out of whack because of the liquidity. So really now the bull thesis, Ty, is that the Fed's breaking shit in the treasury market. And the treasury market's broke. Okay. And so, and actually it wasn't a fair bit lower today. They were still up over $2 trillion, which, I would not, it was like 2.2. I would not consider that a fair bit lower. You want to go below 2 trillion, below 2.2 trillion, I consider that a fair bit lower, but not at all. And so what's happening, that what you're seeing is, the whole bull thesis at this point is that the Fed is going to capitulate like the Bank of England did because they're breaking the Treasury market's broken, and we are seeing spreads kind of go up. But I kind of push back on that a little bit because the spreads are going up, but they're nowhere near where crisis levels are, where we've seen shit broken. Okay, so that's something to kind of follow right now, and then kind of going even further into this, if you look here, M2 money supply, and typically, it's not hard to see, as we increase liquidity and kind of shot up and just printed the printing press, you can see why stocks rose uncontrollably. Well, now you can see the printing press being taken away. We're still technically going on Q2, and they're kind of still, the M2's falling dramatically, which is something important. And then you top that off with consumers and their savings. You can see pretty much the consumers going in hawk, and they've spent everything that they're going to spend right now that they got from the government.
Oh.
And then, the other thing is, going back, they talk about, Europe's experiencing their Lehman moment. Well, first off, they're not experiencing a Lehman, and what they're talking about is Credit Suisse and Deutsche Bank going under, which, if they were to go under, would be dramatic. Okay, because to give an example, Lehman, had 600 billion in assets. Well, Deutsche Bank and Credit Suisse have combined 2,800 billion in assets. But again, credit spreads are elevated for both banks, but you're not seeing. You're not seeing really levels to where something's going to be broken at this point. So I think that's important to look at. Be careful of the narrative, but the bullish narrative that we've made lows and that we're just going to rocket it out of here is the narrative that the Fed's going to pivot. So what you're going to want to look at first, we already talked about labor. The labor market's more important than anything right now, because a strong labor market just gives the Fed more breathing room to keep on doing what they're doing. So other than the temporary bounce, things to look for is, things like Barking coming out and say, we got to defend the dollar. That's kind of a minor thing. But if they start changing their tune and, we start seeing maybe there's going to be a pace because we're starting to break things, then that's something that you definitely want to trade against, and that'll help really create some kind of upward momentum. Right now, as far as the ES, what I'm looking at is this is a major level, this 3687. We kind of butted our heads against it. So if we can break this and stay above it, then I think 3,700, 3,740, they're my next stomping grounds on the ES from a temporary bounce up. So that's what I'm kind of looking at today. We've had a pretty good trade in this, Ty. Look at this nice little intraday action on the ES. We've had this nice trend line. We did kind of break it to the downside, but we talked about this 3620 in our pre-market meeting. Look at this nice reversal candle, Ty.
Yeah, that's nice.
So nice reversal candle. We traded out of this. I wish I could say I traded it all the way up to, because our target was really this 3665, and then this level, this 3675. And you can see we've been kind of trading around these levels in 3,600. But I did get a nice bounce out of here. So pretty much staying. And if you look in here, we're still kind of staying with this trend line after this nice little break here. So I kind of like where we are. To kind of hold it in here. The other thing is, you have Micron came out with more negative news and they're buying it up. Okay. So when you start seeing bad news get bought up, up off here, and of course they bounced off some decent levels. That's also positive sign for possible market. Market is just, the sellers are exhausted.
Did you see Citigroup's analysis today on the market?
No, I did not.
Today they came out and said they revised their year-end goal 3,900, and they expect a negative 2023. So.
Well, I don't think they could possibly be wrong. They're a little late to the table.
Yeah, right. I agreed.
And again, when I'm talking about right here, look at it, Nike. You can see you get this nice little bounce off of earnings. Right now, I think the thesis could be a short-term bounce. Okay, but we'll see. It's got to hold. I mean, the market's got to hold. And again,
what did Nike do Friday?
that was earnings. It just should have bet on
earnings.
And again, for me to keep that, for me to kind of play for maybe a couple day bounce, I need to see us get above this 36.87 and okay, that's kind of a line in the sand for me. That's what I need to see for maybe a couple day bounce possibly. Plus, I need to see rates continue to fall off. I need to see the dollar continue to fall off if it does, and then for me that's I'd be in for that. But right now, while we have kind of flattened out, this is kind of why we got a little bit of a bounce in equities. Let's see what happens. If we can get this 10-year to fall back down below 3.6, then I think we could be in time.
Yeah, agreed.
And the same thing on the dollar, kind of flattening out in here. So let's see. Let's see. I'd like to see it fall off, but again, it's you got to be flexible in your game plans. And we're seeing some positive things. So good job, JT. I see JT some calls.
Good stuff.
Good stuff, man. JT seemed like you're in a little bit of a rhythm. Good stuff. I like to see that, obviously. Trying to catch up through the chat before I get into some of this other stuff in here. What's Mo talking about? You can read the chat. Mo, he's talking about CPI still, so I don't know. I mean, CPI is obviously going to be important, but I'm more switched now to the labor market. I want to see what's we need to see a little bit of a lightening up in the labor market to me.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing still killing us here is the labor market. Inflation, we already got, we already know what's happening with inflation.
Yeah, I think and I agree. And rent's kind of pulling off. Look, I mean, Friday's PCE data was still kind of high. You had some high stuff in the ICM, but that's okay. That's okay. I think what we're seeing is the rate of acceleration starting to slow down, and we're starting to see some good things. I mean, remember today's a new day of the quarter. I mean, we're seeing transportation kind of get a little bit of a lift. We're also seeing, let me pull this up here. We're also seeing materials. I think materials might be a place. You're starting to see some flows into materials. And look here, Ty, I like this. So you kind of got a higher low in here on materials. And so you're seeing first day flows into here. I think that's a good sign because I think that, they start buying the home builders, stuff like that. And I think, again, that could be a good sign for us if they're going to, give us a little bit of a bounce in here.
Yeah, I like this area in home builders because last time we had that low in here, when you created that last higher low in here, that's something I'd like to keep an eye on as far as where was that retest previously. And that's where he came down to and retested exactly here as this low. So definitely a good sign that we're seeing these higher lows in here forming on the home builders.
Yeah, I think that's good too. I really like that. You also have telecommunications doing pretty good today, getting a nice little lift out of here. So you're seeing some flows going into telecommunications. You're seeing some flows go into semiconductors. Semiconductors getting back above this level, Ty. What are you thinking about that?
Yeah, I like the semiconductors here. It's going to be interesting because we had this low in here and then we had just broken this low and now we're coming back above. So it's going to be interesting. One thing I'm going to be watching is if we get extended from here, we're going to retest 192. And when we retest 192, do we hold and rally or do we fail it? Because this is an area here after we had grabbed liquidity that we're most likely going to come back and retest. So that's going to be something I'm watching as far as do we hold this retest here or do we give in and do we continue lower?
Yeah, I like that. Like I said, materials doing well. You're getting some flows into builders. You're getting some flows into materials. What are you thinking about this chart right here, Ty? Nice little gap fill, by the way.
Yeah, it is. It's a nice gap fill, and it's moving up pretty strong today. It's going to be interesting to see if we can reclaim this previous zone right in here that we're running into. If we can reclaim this previous low right in here where we had rejected pretty heavily back in the summer, then I'd want to definitely see a hold there, and maybe we can get a little bit of a rally out of it. But definitely an area where I'm watching is the 71 low here.
Yeah, I agree. Solar, I mean, look at this time. I mean, we've been all over solar. We traded all through this little box in here. I think it may be time to come back to solar because, look, you got a nice little support at the 200, and you get a nice little lift up in solar today.
Yeah, I was just that's a really good area where we're at the 200 now. I like that area there.
Yeah. Now, risk on, you're not getting a good little bounce out of biotech. So, biotech down 1.6% from the open. So getting a little bit of rejection. You are holding in here at the 100, but biotech kind of lagging today. So that's the one side that I would be careful. Transportation though is kind of getting a little bit of a bounce, but again, biotech transportation, we'll see if that means anything. But I like materials in here. I like energy going forward. And obviously telecom looks like it's doing pretty good from that standpoint. Software is kind of looking at software, still nothing ready to jump in here. And I'm still not convinced on the semiconductor index. So we'll see if that leads to anything. And the FANG stocks are doing well. So if you look at Apple having a nice little bounce up in here, nice reversal candle off of, it looks like it still is kind of hanging nowhere. So for me, Apple needs to get back above this 143 level, but starting to look good today so far.
Yeah.
Microsoft, same thing. FANG stocks sitting at highs. You got Apple, you got Microsoft, you got Amazon doing its thing. Netflix actually was looking pretty decent earlier. From a dip buy, you can kind of see these higher lows and was kind of wedging in here. But still, Netflix kind of lagging. It's not even above Friday's highs. So that's something that I definitely take in consideration. You can see Microsoft at least getting close to their highs. You can see Apple, getting at least close to their highs. So FANG stocks trying to dig themselves and try to lead the market a little bit. We already talked about Nike, with the bad earnings coming back and, investors willing to come back into that stock. Micron. So, all positive sectors of the market. Also, defense stocks. I don't know if you saw defense stocks, but a couple of them would note. Look at this Lockheed Martin getting a nice little bounce today, almost 4% tie. And look at this chart.
Dude, this area that we're coming into now is freaking killer. Like, yeah, that we just rejected. Man, strong move off of it.
Yeah, strong move. I think again another sector that could definitely get going. You are below the 200, but like you said, I mean, popping out of a nice little area there. And of course, Northrop Grumman, a little bit, coming back up into this zone here. So defense stocks getting a little bit of a lift. So maybe it's something to take note. Now, on the flip side, I tell you what's not getting a lift is the Ponzi stocks, the shit stocks. Okay. So your ARK, I'd stay away. I mean, the shit stocks just not able. But that's a little bit better to me, right? I mean, before with the short squeezes, it was the ARKs, it was the China stocks, the stocks that were the, maybe we're just trying to play for a bounce, but these stocks really aren't bouncing in here. And so I think that if we do get a bounce, it could be a little bit different. I think it could be more of a positive flow. I'd much rather see the material stocks, housing stocks. I'd much rather see telecom stocks kind of popping out of there than seeing the K-Webs and the ARK stocks popping. So definitely something that I want to see. So I think get a little bit better action. As far as material stocks, I traded, and I talked about this still in Nucor. This was one of my top stocks, last week. This is one of the top stocks this week. Look at this trade time.
Damn. It has just like flag break. That was a nice move in the morning.
Flag break. I mean, A+ setup. I think we called this one out around 110.50, something like that. So, you're up 4 points on Newport, which is just a really nice trader. Another one we had on our list today, Freeport, especially with what you got going on, silver and, copper and some of the other things. I mean, look at Freeport, another flagger that just continues to rock up. So, if you look at the daily chart on Newport, a little bit suspect on this, obviously below the 50. So you're going to have to get through some things in here. And, we did have this break here. But I'd like to see volume a little bit bigger in this one. As far as telecommunication, you got AT&T. I know this is one of Mark's favorite stocks that he's looking at. AT&T kind of getting a bounce. What are you seeing off this, Ty? If anything.
Man, I mean, it's like when we first ended, we ended with an absolute brick of a candle here, no bottom wick, and we just went straight gap up and go. So I think we're just getting a little bit of a technical balance, maybe a squeeze, profit taking, whatever you want to call it. But this price action for me, if I'm looking for an extended rally, is not ideal. We're not really basing. We're just kind of doing a technical squeeze before we head back down to lows, and is what it feels like.
Yeah, I think so, but we'll see. Yeah, Bornholm, I like Wheaton a lot. Look at this chart, Ty. It isn't breakout. I mean, you're gapping above the 50. I love when stocks gap above their moving averages. So this is a good stock. So I like this one a lot. What's your thought process on this, Ty?
Yeah, I like it. It's one of my favorite plays as far as you have the low here. You grab liquidity, created a lower low, and then you have that nice divergence from the RSI. We're rallying out of here. So one of my favorite plays. Not sure how much more life it has in it because the divergence has fulfilled its move here. It's came back up to the previous peak. So if we can break through this, this whole like consolidation area, maybe. But with the overall market the way it is, I think that the move happened already, and it is what it is. But it was a nice move if you had caught it at the bottom.
Good point. You don't want to chase in this market, especially in this market. You're going to get another entry point.
Yeah.
Maybe the entry point is you get a little bit more room up to the top end of the zone.
Right.
And then you kind of you find support back down at the 50. And then the 50 starts turning up. You get the other moving averages turning up. So, maybe at the end of the week into next week, that's a decent little trade on this one.
Right.
Especially because, again, new quarter, first day, I like to look at the flows, and I kind of liking this sector a lot. So let's see if we kind of get that trade in there, Ty.
Yeah.
It would be a nice little trader. Other stocks that are looking pretty decent. I called out this BTU all last week, was our top trader. Gapping and running up into the top end of the zone. I'd be curious to get your take on this one because I still like BTU. Right there.
Yeah, I like it. I struggle with where it's at because
right.
We've obviously have been in this consolidation for a long time now, and now we're heading back. So I think it has more room to the upside, at least towards 29. But again, it's somewhere that we've struggled many. So I think we get a nice rally out of it, maybe for a couple of days to reach the 29 area. Then I think we stall out potentially, but I think you have a nice multi-day move here.
Yeah, be careful with chasing. Cleveland Cliffs getting a little runner today, up almost 9% again. But again, be careful with this one. Kind of, you got so much to go. I'm not sure I'm buying in to that move. And I did see, I know you guys were talking about EMPH. That was my personal ATM machine before. Kind of forming a base tie. Tell me some good news on my EMPH. Now it's running into the 50 here. So, I like to see it get back above it, but it is a rising 50.
Yeah, it is rising. And the fact that we had this this move here consolidating right at the previous breakout point, and it's not breaking below, and it's 1, 2, 3 times it hasn't broken below. It's good news that they keep knocking and won't break it, and their bulls are holding it above the highs. Obviously, if we break this area here, it's down we go. But I think the fact that we're holding up here is positive, and that we could get a nice squeeze back up to highs potentially.
Yeah, I mean, look, warning sign. You got the 9, 21 almost below the 50. So, but they are stacked pretty nicely, and if you can get back above the 50, and you get the moving averages restacked, I think this can go for a nice little run. And it's in the sector that I like. First Solar, same thing. Look at this sucker. This thing hasn't even, you know, you gotta love. This is institutional play, guys. If you're looking for footprints, I mean, when you get a stock that gaps on such strong earnings, okay, which is what First Solar did here. They gapped on really strong earnings, and then to get this kind of run and then to hold that gap, you know, that's pretty strong action as you're holding the 9 and 21 in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so First Solar, I like this one a lot, and you know, I'm going to be looking at this one going forward as far as that's concerned in here. Yeah, I mean, Nat Gas, did you talk Nat Gas, Ty?
No.
Because Nat Gas, I mean, look at Nat Gas. I mean, just definitely, you know, below the 200. Now, last time Nat Gas got below the 200 in here, look what it did. Yeah. Nice little rally out. So what are you looking for in here? Because it did kind of push today.
You know, I could see the potential rally. I think it has maybe. So the thing I was looking at it is back when we were right here, it was a pretty easy short because you had this really nice head and shoulders here that we broke through and retested, and now we're pushing back down. So the fact that we came down, we're at the 200. You know, we're at somewhat an area where we've had a lot of dip buying before. Back here where you know this wick is, where the support is, it's an interesting area. We've more or less fulfilled the head and shoulders, not fully, but it's close enough to where we could rally out of here. So this is a very interesting area to keep an eye on as far as longs for Nat Gas.
Yeah, without a doubt. Look at that head and shoulders you just threw out.
Yeah, and this is a nice trend line that we're actually now butting into as well.
Look at that. That's nice, man.
I'm taking a look at Nat Gas now. I didn't even see this.
This is a nice chart.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Oh, God.
Man, look at that. All right. I think I may be trading Nat Gas too.
I'm saying.
All right. Finishing up here, guys. LTHM. I mean, you know what I think about this. I mean, look, lithium is pretty much supplying everything. Okay. So nice little run out of here. This is one that I think you got to keep on your radar. Now, you are getting some weak action in Tesla as Tesla came out with they missed on deliverables. And so you got a nice gap and drop down into this area here. So Tesla is definitely something. Be careful. I was calling out this morning the 250 level, and I thought, you know what? If it holds at 250 and bounces, great. I'll take a dip buy. But if it doesn't and it fails, then I'm ready to just short this thing. And what did it do, Ty?
Yeah.
Nice. It just, matter of fact, it didn't even stop. Okay. Just nice drop down. Gave you another opportunity to short, another opportunity to add, and this thing continued to be weakness. So maybe Tesla is ready to be broken, and we can have a nice little party from, you know, I'm sure Mal would have a nice little party, right? We gotta have a little party for him.
He'll be posting bears in the chat.
Right. He's gonna be posting the Tesla bear. It's gonna be a bear dressed up like Elon.
Yeah.
So we'll keep an eye on that. Desire PCG. That was one of the stocks that he called out this morning. Yeah, nice little dip buy on PCG today. So Desire, hope you caught that dip buy. Oh, you missed the wedge breakout. Okay. CCL mark. Yeah, I mean, look, this was a great short. We actually had this called out as a short the other day. Today it's kind of, there's really no follow through action because it's already dropped dramatically. I mean, look at this drop on Friday.
Damn.
Yeah, I think it was Michael S. that kind of called that out. But nice little drop on Friday and then continuation into here. So give their Tesla robot a bear costume for Halloween. Yeah, did you see the Tesla robot?
Oh God.
I mean, it was just very lacking. I mean, right. I mean, and of course, our resident Tesla bear Mal put some pretty decent
What the
stuff.
hell? I didn't even see this thing. What the fuck?
I know. I mean, it's come
Oh
on.
my God, dude.
Come on. So anyhow, it looks like we're trying to break out here. So I'm kind of watching, seeing what the dollar's doing in here. Kind of, come on. I don't want to see it. Let's just get this thing to roll over. Todd, can you get this to roll over, please?
I'm working on it.
Rates are trying to roll over. And so with that action, really, I told you this, we're kind of hanging right at this level. Tyler, what do you think, man?
Oh man, it looks good for a continuation. I mean, come on.
Do I buy this? Do you hear order filled?
Order filled.
I mean, it's hard to buy breakouts. It seems breakouts I just always get
I know.
myself.
I hate buying breakouts.
It's like, but I get in FOMO, man. I kind of want to buy this here.
Right. Oh.
I mean, but the more, in this market, the short off this level's been better.
Hop to the 30-minute.
All right, let's go to 30-minute chart. Up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, baby. All right, what do you see?
Main thing I'm watching on the 30-minute here is that we have this descending trend line that we had obviously we had broken just now this morning. And so when I trade these plays here, I always look for the points of intersection, which is, this area was the last point of intersection. So I don't know how much, I think we have a little bit of hesitation here. So maybe we break out where we're at now to retest this point of intersection, but then pull back and break out from there. So it's an area where I'm watching is going to be this area that we're headed up into right now.
Man, I like that trend line break there on the 30.
Oh, I know. I didn't get it. I was looking. So what's frustrating this morning is I was looking for, as it was marching up here, for dip buys off this 36.20 area. It would have worked out perfectly, but I didn't fucking catch it, did I?
Yeah, I mean, look, you got Thursday's low sitting right here in that 36.20. That's what I was calling out there. So market's kind of popping up here a little bit.
Yeah. See how it reacts here.
Slow velocity to it though. I mean, I think because you're not getting. Look, I mean, rates in the dollar just kind of sitting there. So I think. All right, well, we're getting this break in here now, Ty.
Yeah, let's see if we can hold this break here for where we're entering now.
All right, well, as we close the show, we're getting ready for some. I think we've got a good trade opportunity happening. So, would you like to see it touch this area first and then come back down?
Yes, if we touch it, come back down, it could be potential buys. I don't like buying into this. I like to buy after it rejects it first and then it breaks.
All right.
That's my play.
Got a nice little place, maybe setting up. Yeah, Bornheim said that robot. That robot is pathetic. Yeah, I have to agree. Top side limit for the day, 37.10. So 37.10 up
All
here.
right, 37.10.
To me, look, I think 37.40 we can get up into this area up here. I really do. If the the bulls get some limit. I mean, we've come a long way, pretty fast. Obviously, you got 3,700 going to be an interesting level. So look, we're already getting this pullback into this area. We'll see. All right, watch it out, man. Got a good 2 minute in here, got a little reversal wick in here so far, so we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. A little bounce out of here would help if it, I just let rates fall down, please.
I know.
Just let rates fall down. All right, so I think that's it, guys. Be safe. There's been some good trading, and I think right now, if rates can kind of fall off, dollar fall off, I think we got all the makings of a possible nice little short-term rally here.
Agreed. Yeah, we'll see. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you tomorrow, guys.